here is definitely, I think, part 5 or part 6 of Hitler Rise of Evil, the TV miniseries that is Hitler Rise of Evil of part 1. This is Lisa Stade of the Lisa Stade YouTube channel. That's Lisa Stade. And the other YouTube channel, Hitler Obsessed. Now, where we left off is a bit about Hitler's mustache. Now I'm going to continue on to a lot of other plots there. Little not important things, like you have one of the, I guess he's a Jewish guy who's investigating, causing a lot of the alarm bells in his head to realize that Hitler's not a good guy and is trying to warn the public through his press that does almost pretty much several times get shut down, and it changes its newspaper's name just to, print through the presses and let everyone know that Hitler is not a good guy and people should not trust him. And he goes so far to mention how Hitler is just a horrible guy, just because he can understand people's problems, what they're going through the Great Depression, and stuff. This character's gonna keep trying to fight against Hitler no matter what. But one of the scenes that I'm gonna describe now, because there's a lot of other dumb plots there that turn up that are kind of not important, pretty much ends, like, the nightclub burlesque thing. Yes, that's kind of based off an actual historical, burlesque and the character and stuff. Did Hitler hang out there? I don't know. I know Hitler developed wealthy relationships with the wealthy elite of Munich to, get his foot in the door. And one of the characters, yes, is Hempenskill, whatever. Hempen, gonna butcher the name. I know that one for a fact. I'm not gonna mention. Not even gonna try to mention this wealthy Munich German family there. And yes, they were the owners of this brand of pianos that were from Germany. They were very famous, I guess, brand. They're like the Yamahas. They're the German, I guess, equivalent of a Yamaha. You buy the Yamaha is pretty light, I know. I guess in the music industry, and I guess if you're into, motorcycle stuff. Okay? So, I'm not gonna pronounce that campus name. No, I'm gonna butcher it up anyway. But yeah, they're the guys that Hitler in the movie does show the drawing of what is to be the Nazi flag, or the first one, which is I guess, the blood flag that's gonna turn up, in later on scene. I'm gonna mention up the real homepage that Hitler does, and that yet with this family is Hitler does seem to have an affair with the wife, and she has hots for him, and he's just all, just like this nice uncle that's called Uncle Elf, Elf, or, well, yeah, I think it's Elf or whatever, by the family's son there, who actually enjoyed his Uncle Elf, and thus Uncle Elf was, his best friend, just a nice guy, just a wonderful guy. I feel bad for that probably kid. If that kid lived from the Second World War, I don't know much about that family after this. I think the kid probably does die, or maybe the family moves to America. But really, I just feel bad for the kid, because the kid's best friend and wonderful Uncle Ulf is really Uncle Adolf Hitler. Not a good guy. And yet again, Hitler's famous for taking advantage of people, and with his manipulative charisma. He's famous for that stuff. Like, famous brand famous, just famous. but yeah, Hitler was, he had this family that was providing money and support. It's a political campaign. That also, I guess, hung around that same philosophy that I mentioned earlier. It's, yeah, I mean, this isn't a very big plot event in the movie. That's not very important. But yeah, so the next scene I'm going to describe is of the girl pooch that Hitler does march into and takes over the Bürgerkeller, which was a German beer hall in Munich that was going to be housed of some German government members that were holding a meeting or political committee, and Hitler was going to take over Germany because he saw Mussolini took over Rome by having the people march behind Mussolini and his fascist black shirts in Italy to take over Italy also. And Hitler thought he could do that too, but his party was a lot smaller and not widely known in Germany, and Hitler thought to do that from Munich. I mean, really, he's just original uh, version of the 2001 Washington D.C. Coup d'etat. It's a bloody meme. It's not a coup d'etat from a ball, a beer hall. Of course, alcohol has to be involved in that. I think any historian or anyone that says Hitler wasn't drinking obviously has to be stupid. It's one post actually did, and a history book reference that Hitler did take a swig of beer, which obviously, of course, if he's not a big drinker of beer, he's probably also not gonna make a lot of good decisions too. Under the influence of alcohol, I guess. Oh, how his quality would slide for that one. Not a good guy, but good. Oh, how wonderful he could experience that, I know. As always, starting a coup d'etat and under the influence of alcohol is somehow the best thing to do. Not really. I don't support doing that at all, period, even if you're sober. Uh, but yeah, Hitler ends up, holding everyone at gunpoint and bringing in a machine gun because the Nazis were storing weaponry secretly and hiding stuff, for the revolution that they were planning so much. And, Hitler holds everyone at hostage and threatens to shoot himself also. Oh, but the actual opening to the event here, sorry for my hiccups here, is Hitler ends up walking and I guess it's lederhosen and a coat with tails, and jumps on top of a bench there in the beer hall in the Keller, and fires 2 shots and says, the revolution has begun. And everybody just looks at Hitler like the waiters went insane, because that's what they thought of what the guy looked like. A waiter, like, oh, they went insane. They did not get a good tip, did they? They did not take him seriously until pretty much everyone was held hostage and couldn't leave and was at gunpoint. And eventually the scene goes that the Björhol Pooch ends up losing, unraveling. Hitler's little plan is dashed. Ludendorff and another general also, I think it's Lasso or Ludendorff. There's Ludendorff and Hugenborg, which are 2 major World War One generals. I think field marshals there. Yeah, generals. I think they were not field marshals. But Hitler ends up having these guys actually made as accomplices who eventually deny their involvement in this to save their honor and dignity as part of the German military. But yeah, in one of the scenes before the girl who Hitler does get in a alliance with them to get him on his side. But they end up leaving Hitler, and everything just goes to pot. So pretty much in one of the journalistic recordings of this is not, I guess, a recording from a journalist or whatever taking notes on the scenes of the failing bureau putsch of Hitler, is that there was on the electoral podium there stack of, no, just stacks, fat stacks of German Reichsmarks piled up, and Hitler, drunk as a skunk on a table, head just buried in, beer hole, glass beer steins there, just piled up because he took straight to the bottle and noticed that no, everything's going to heck. And so he decides to march on Munich, and the police confront Hitler because Ludendorff called the police from the military back to stop Hitler. Hitler ends up getting one of the guys who's one of the guys that dies in the Vierhol putsch that Hitler will make as a motto for the Vierhol putsch there. And everything's just chaos. He does what, 13 or 16 Nazis that died in that, and not a single police officer. That's the history lore of it. I don't know if that has any fact, but that's usually the story of it. Could have been actually stuff from like though, as history buffs are stuck with. But yeah, Hitler does flee to that German wealthy family and hides out before he's arrested. He does try to kill himself. And Hitler's sent to trial and found guilty and charged with treason and gets what, 18, a year or so, a year and 8 months I think in jail, but then is let out, and but the court trial is pretty much Hitler just confesses everything, and they find him guilty, and Ludendorff and Lázár are not found guilty, and Hitler just admits everything, but he knows that these guys just betrayed him. My alliances betrayed me, like they're gonna pay for it. Yes. But yeah, this is all recorded from that other character who's sitting as one of the journalists recording the beer hall putsch trials of Hitler in the late 1923 or 24 there, after Hitler was imprisoned. Uh, so here is pretty much where I will kind of leave off on part 5. This is Lisa Stayed here of the YouTube channels Lisa Stayed and Hitler Obsessed. Like this video or any other videos on those channels. Subscribe to my channel. Donate to my Patreon and subscribe stall. Hit the notification bell. You can be friends with me on Facebook. Want to send a friend request or leave me a comment? You can leave a comment on this video or any other video on YouTube with available comments, or on my YouTube channel, and I would love to reply back to you when I have time. You can also donate to my Patreon account and my subscribe store. You can also visit and subscribe to my BitChute channel of Lisa Marie State. That's one word. Lisa has a caps lock in the first letter. Maria has caps lock in the first letter, and State has a caps lock letter in the first letter. It's just one word. Lisa Marie State. And now, bye all.